Hi there, and welcome back, and welcome to 2023. And this being the first Tuesday that I'm going to be posting stuff, and we know every Tuesday is like a practice pad posting day. And I thought what I would do is obviously wish you all a happy new year, and I hope you had a good festive break and all that kind of thing, if that's something that you do. And I thought I'd start this year with the first video. Basically, just chatting about some of the correspondence I've had from a few people about the pad video. It's kind of confused a few people because some people have said it's not a lesson, it's not a demonstration per se. It's kind of you just playing on a pad. What am I supposed to do with that? And I've had a few of my students saying the same thing. Of course, I've had a lot of positive things about it. I'm not saying that, and I'm really enjoying this journey doing those videos. But yeah, it's interesting some of the feedback that I've got. And I guess I've never really, in some of the descriptions on the video, I have written a few things, but I guess I've never sat down and talked about what the idea is. And I guess, the internet is full of drummers doing lessons and what have you. And, I could throw my hat in the ring and get involved, but I kind of saw my Instagram and my YouTube account really as being, I don't know if the right term is a vlog, but, kind of telling my musical story in little snippets of videos, my thought processes, my influences, with the record reference reviews, which is hard to say. Those kind of things, showing you where I get my influences from and how I use, from those records and stuff and put it into my music making and my drumming, and how you can do the same. That kind of thing, as well as, looking at my drum kits and chatting about various thoughts. So the idea was that, all of those things in Rob's head, I would kind of spill out into short little snippet videos, little clips, which over time builds up to kind of Rob Bryan is this, I guess. So coming back to the pad videos, because I'll discuss some of the other stuff another time, possibly. It was just that so many of my students and even drumming chums have said they sit down with the pad and they get a bit bored, they don't know what to do. And I've, I can't lie, I probably did at some point, but I've always looked at the practice pad as just a way of honing down a drum kit into one space. So I would imagine that different parts of the pad were different parts of the drum set. And obviously, I'm not using my feet and anything like that, so four-way coordination isn't happening, but it's all happening in my head. So instead of worrying about the linear patterns, which I can do the next time I'm practicing with a drum kit, I can actually sit down just with my hands and think on the sticks and or brushes and think, right, what could I then do? And this could then go to the top tom, then I could move it here. Then I could possibly do it linear when I'm on the kit. That's interesting. So I log the idea or write it down or record it. And then off I go again. It sounds like an alien spaceship is landing, but it's not. I'm not sure what that is. Anyway, we'll keep that in because if I get abducted by aliens, you'll all see it. So I sit down and I start thinking in melodies. So I've spoken about this before in some of my other videos, but when I'm playing a phrase, I start to try and think of it as maybe orchestrated in a band or played on a different melodic instrument. And then that makes me think of all the phrases and riffs that I like to hear in jazz, pop, classical music, whatever style of music, jazz, and I just said jazz, but and then putting that into stickings and putting some of those melodic ideas into some of the rudimental ideas that I've got of the 26, 28, 32 billion rudiments, whatever there are now. And then I start to think of that a little differently. So then a pad improvisation then becomes, if I've got the click on or not, if I'm doing it with the click, great, I'm working on my timing and stuff. And if it's in 7 or 5 or 4 or 3, I'm working on these patterns in that time signature. But I'm actually weaving the rudiments, so I'm practicing my rudiments, I'm practicing my stickings, but I'm thinking of them as music rather than 4-stroke rough into some hand-to-hand 16s, into some double strokes, into some press rolls. I don't want to think of it like that. I want to think of basically all those rudiments help me to produce the music. And in my head, I'm orchestrating, when I go to the top tom, you know, that's like a guitar chord or something or whatever, and the snare drum is like playing a lick, that's like a load of trumpets going, you know, and I'm thinking it in that way. So then my brain very quickly thinks, right, I'm doing this. What does it sound like if I now go into a 6-stroke roll from this? And then I will think it's a 6-stroke roll. Then the next minute I'm thinking, right, that is a 6-stroke roll, but how can I think of that differently? How can I think of it more musically? I could place it on the tom. So on the pad, I'll just play it in a slightly different place as if I'm playing on a floor tom on a top tom or something, you know, and it all this stuff's going on. And then before you know it, you look at the clock and you've been practicing for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 2 hours, 4 hours, whatever. So that's kind of what these things are about. So in my descriptions, I'll say some of the ideas that I'm hoping to get through or what I'm thinking about when I'm performing this. And they're never longer than 5 minutes usually. Obviously when I practice them they are, but I kind of just want to, you know, put it through a conduit, bring it right down to a basic idea that I can post and say, this is my idea. This is what's kind of turning me on today. This is what's making my brain fire and go, look at this, I want to play this. So that's the idea of that. And then some of them, if they're on brushes, again, it's a similar idea, kind of orchestrating with the brushes, thinking of musical ideas. And when I do it with a Lindrum or a backing, you know, that backing is helping me to think of some of those phrases in a more musical setting. So sometimes I'll make the decision to think, well, I could do this without music, but actually I'm going to have some backing, you know. Most of them are stuff that I've composed that hopefully when I finish will be on my album. And some of them are just composed just to be a vehicle for me to play these ideas on top of. So you get the idea of hearing it with the track or the loop or the beat or the melodic, whatever I decide to program. So really that's what they are. They're little ideas, and I'm hoping that people watch them and get inspired by that. One, to sit down with a practice pad more often and play, but two, think, okay, yeah, some of that makes sense. I'm kind of understanding what he's meaning when he's saying about these things as melodic ideas rather than just stickings. You know, how do they sound, and how can I string ideas together? And on a practice pad, of course, you know that we're not using our feet, so all the linear ideas, as I say, disappear. So you have to do it just with the hands. So you have to think of ways. I find it helps me find ways of stringing ideas together. A bit like when people play passing chords. You know, I try and think of some passing phrases that I like to use, like I did a little video on the Tony Williams sticking that I really like, that I borrowed from, I think it was Nefertiti, he did it on. And he's done it with Lifetime and all the different bands he was in and stuff. You know, let's use that and maybe a 6-stroke roll and maybe a 5-stroke roll. They could be my passing phrases that I can just chuck in to kind of weave my way into the next idea that's going to come, the next flurry of notes that my brain is about to say, right, I'm going to do this. But to get there, I need to join the things together and build them up, or join the dots, whichever sort of analogy you want to use. And I find on the pad, it forces you to do that because you're centering yourself just on that practice pad, just with the hand. So you can't chuck a few bass drums in there or anything. So it really makes me feel like I'm being ultra creative and pushing me to improvise and stretch myself and push myself a bit further. So the idea is I guess you sit down, you watch them. Yes, I'm spilling out the contents of my brain into these little sound bites, but hopefully as well, you'll like some of the ideas and think, that's cool. So like I said earlier, sit down at the practice pad is one idea. Then two, what I'm playing, some of the ideas and stickings and the threads of the ideas you might want to take away and work on yourself. So I hope that's kind of helped. I've tried to keep it down to a 10-minute, I'm looking, 9 minutes so far. 10-minute kind of block, just so I could condense the ideas down and let you know what the whole idea of it was really. So, and my YouTube channel, you know, it's more the ramblings of Rob's drumming and musical mind, you know, being laid out in short little sound bites and clips throughout the years. So people can then think, oh, okay, what's this drummer about? He's about all of these things. So I hope you enjoy them. I'm building a nice little following, which is great. And people that want to come and check them out do. I'm getting some great correspondence. Also, I get some funky respondents as well, which is cool. And why not? That's what the internet's about. But generally, it's going really, really well. So as I say, I hope that makes sense. Happy New Year to all. There's going to be more of these videos to come and more of the Friday videos as well. And this year I'm hoping to get some interviews with some people, maybe some people interviewing me, more studio background stuff as well. It's kind of difficult sometimes because when you're on a session, you're just actually working. You haven't got time to go around with a camera and grab bits because people are like, oh, no, not now, Rob, but let's do this. I'm like, yeah, okay. And then by the end of the day, you're driving home thinking, oh, I never did that chat with that producer, or I never had that chat with the bass player talking to me about what I do, or them talking to them about what they do, But I'm gonna, hopefully get more of that stuff as well, so that can be added to my channel as well. So brilliant! Thank you for tuning in, and as I say, happy 2023 to everybody. So keep checking out these videos. Please share, like and subscribe. If you know some drummers that would get something from my clips and my channel, please pass it on. Thank you very much. So have a great 2023. This is the first video, and I wish you all the best for this year. And please contact me, please leave comments. Let's get this whole thing moving and kick this year off to a great start. All right, take care guys. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you later. Hi, just thought I'd do a little explanation. Just as the wind picks up outside, listen to that. It's crazy windy here today. I just thought I'd just very quickly just show you a few of the ideas that I was talking about when I was talking about melody and so on. So let's just take the 6-stroke roll. So we got right, left, left, right, right, left. Right, left, left, right, right, left. And we can accent the first and the last. And then loop it. And then I'm hearing da 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 da. So very basic melody, and I'm not got the most melodic voice in the world, so I apologise now. But that's what I'm hearing, and it's it's pretty straight down the line. There's nothing great about that, but it gets me in the space. So if I'm thinking, so obviously I'm thinking sort of a triplety, so and so on. So then if my right, left, left, right, left, left then become like a Okay, so that was a pretty basic demonstration, but that shows you kind of what I'm thinking about. Now, of course, I don't always say it out loud, like in the video just then. Most of the time it's in my head, but I'm orchestrating it. And I played some there in a sort of triplet swing feel, as well as straight as well. Digga digga da, digga digga da, digga da, digga digga da, digga da, da, da. And the more I listen to different kinds of music, the more I hear different syncopation with the melody. Like Smoke on the Water, basic riff. Any jazz head, any of those Charlie Parker heads that you can think of, Now's the Time and all those kind of things, Ornithology and all those tunes. There's loads of syncopation, but it's all rhythm. And, if you can transport those heads to your hands and your feet on the drum kit or just on the pad, which is what we're talking about really, and you can transform that to the pad, then you're in business. And then you can start sort of stitching those rudiment ideas in between the phrases to make other phrases. And eventually you come away from the original idea of, say, if it was ornithology or whatever, you come away from that idea and you're now composing something with that rhythm and syncopation in mind, but you've now created something new, which I think is the genesis of how all great music is produced. But that we'll save that conversation for another day. And I've kind of touched on that in other videos. So I hope that's helped. And I hope you might want to sit down and kind of try these ideas out for yourself. And if you've got any other ideas about this, then please leave a comment below. Always interested in the two-way conversation about stuff. Everyone's got something to bring to the table. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Take care. And I'll see you next time. Cheers.